Welcome to Health and Self. My name is Ashley Thayer, and today I am sharing with you one of my favorite Italian dishes. I love Italian cuisine. Our family loves Italian cuisine. And so today I am going to share with you how to make a healthier version of chicken marsala with a side of spinach lemon pasta. Here's what you're going to need to get started. So I have 4 thin chicken breasts. They're probably about 2 sliced chicken breasts, kind of sliced in half. You're going to need whole wheat flour, a little bit of garlic powder, some unflavored gelatin. I'll explain that a little bit later. Chicken broth, a little bit of butter. Yes, we have about a tablespoon of butter. You can still have butter even when you're cooking healthy. About 15 ounces of mushrooms. I have the Baby Bella. You can choose whatever kind you like, but they have good flavor. And then Marsala wine, of course. And then for the spinach lemon pasta, super easy. We're gonna need a little onion, a little garlic, a little spinach, whole wheat pasta, and then of course, Parmesan cheese to top. And there will be some lemon that we will need also, but I've got those behind me. So let's get started on the chicken marsala. So what I wanna do is I wanna take this 1/4 teaspoon of the unflavored gelatin. If you could get grass-fed gelatin, that's good. You're just gonna sprinkle it on top of your 1/4 cup of chicken broth. And we're just gonna set this aside for later. And we're gonna let those two kind of get combined. Then we're going to create our dredge for our chicken. So we've got our thin chicken breasts, we've got our whole wheat flour, and I'm going to grab a dish. So we're going to add, this is about 1/2 cup of whole wheat flour. Add that in, and then this is about 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Again, you just want to season this up. Then we're also going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. All right, about 1/4 teaspoon of each. I'm just gonna swirl this around. Okay. Now, I have a skillet here. I'm going to turn it on medium, almost medium-high heat. And we're gonna let that start to heat, and then we'll add some olive oil into there. Now, I'm going to take my chicken breasts and just flip them in the flour. Easy peasy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Ha, 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 ha. Now, the reason why we do this is so that way you kind of start to get the idea of a breaded chicken, which is a lot of times what you find in chicken marsala. But because we're using a whole wheat flour and we're just kind of coating them, lightly coating them, we're creating just a little bit healthier and cutting down the carb. Now, our pan, I'm going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil. Use your cap if you don't have a measuring spoon. And what I like to do is I love to just pour the olive oil right into the cap. And that helps us to kind of measure it out. And if you think about the tablespoon of olive oil, I mean, it's going across 4 chicken breasts. So it's okay. Olive oil is also a heart-healthy oil. So we definitely like that. All right, our pan is starting to heat up. I'm gonna crank it up just a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna finish dredging my chicken. So I did say 4 chicken breasts, but there was a little thin escapee in there, so we ended up having 5. That's okay. A bonus one. My husband would find the bonus one for sure. He loves this dish. We all love this chicken marsala dish. Okay, so my chicken is coated. You can see the flour. We've got the seasoning. We seasoned the flour. And then we're gonna throw them in the pan. Okay, so that's heated. Now, how do you know when your oil is heated? When you start to kind of swirl it around the pan, you're looking for little kind of like waves that happen with the oil. That lets you know that it is heated. Now, one thing I do have going next to my pan, just so if you're curious, is I have a pot of water. Water takes forever to boil. A watch pot never boils, so I've got that going so that way we can start our pasta once we get the chicken going. All right, this is nice and hot. Now I'm going to take my chicken breasts and just sit them in the oil. And they're gonna start to sizzle. Because they are thinner chicken breasts, they won't take long to cook at all. Also, you're getting all of the same protein ideas and nutrients from the chicken breast, but not as many calories because we've opted for the thinner chicken breasts. Slide these around so I can fit my 5th one into there, my bonus one. Okay. Here it's starting to sizzle already, which is good. All right, we're gonna let those start to sizzle away. Leave my tongs. Okay, so while that's going, we're gonna start to prepare our mushrooms. So like I said, I like to choose, I like to do the Baby Bella, but you can kind of do whatever your grocery store has. When you get your mushrooms, take a damp paper towel and wipe them down. Don't submerge them in water to wash them. Yes, mushrooms grow in dirt, but the whole idea is just to kind of lightly clean them off, but you don't want them to absorb all the water. They're a very porous vegetable or fungi. So I like to cut them in quarters. I keep it pretty simple. Depending on how big they are. Sometimes when they're a little bigger, I like to cut them a little bit smaller. But we're gonna go ahead and get these chopped up while our chicken's cooking. All right. Do your kids like mushrooms? We're a split household as far as the girls go. So there's 4 of them, 2 like mushrooms and 2 don't. But they love the chicken marsala, and I think it's maybe because of the flavors that it has, that it lends. It's easy weeknight dish. So even for a kind of traditional Italian comfort food, this way is very easy to make on a weeknight when we're running and ripping to practices. So some of these big ones, you can see I'm cutting down just a little bit smaller than the traditional quarters. I like mushrooms, so why not? Now, one other thing we will need for our dish towards the end is some fresh parsley. You can grow this. I grow it at home. I love to grow it outside in a container garden and indoors as well. I have an indoor kind of aquaponic garden that I like to grow some indoor herbs. Now you can hear the chicken sizzling away. Let's check it here. Perfect. So they're already starting to brown on one side, you can see there. Oop. We're gonna go ahead and flip them. And then once they get nice and brown on the other side, we're actually going to remove them from the pan and set them aside. Okay, so that's going there. I'm going to grab another saute pan. My water's starting to come closer to a boil for our spinach lemon pasta, because we're going to actually saute spinach with a little bit of onion and a little bit of garlic. So while we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and get our pasta ingredients going. So I have 1 clove of garlic, and I have 1/4 of a Vidalia onion. I love Vidalia onions. They have a sweeter flavor than your traditional onions, than your traditional like white onion or yellow onion. But for my daughters who, I don't know, sneak onion in for flavor, the Vidalia onion is a good way to go. So if your kids are not the lover of onions, then that's definitely the way you want to go. Now with my onion, I'm going to just do little slices, almost like little ringlets. So that way it will actually mimic the pasta as it's cooked. Make them as thick or as thin as you'd like. Okay, so that's that. Now for the garlic, slide my onion over. Nice thing about big cutting boards is you can kind of have everything at your fingertips. Now for the garlic, to peel it. You're gonna take the heel of your knife and the heel of your hand, and you're gonna smoosh it down. Uh-oh, run away garlic, run away. It's okay, live TV, the peel's still on. So we're going to smoosh it, and then it actually makes it easier to peel. It also releases all of those fun flavors of the garlic that you are looking for, all of the juices, the oils, the natural oils that are in the garlic. All right. Cut off the bottom. And then you can just do a little thin slice on this, mince it up. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now you can buy already minced garlic in the store. Just be mindful of what it's soaking in. Sometimes they soak it in olive oil. So you just want to, if you are watching your kind of fats and oil content in your dishes, that's something you want to keep in mind. Okay, I think my chicken breast is about done. Oh yes. All right, turn my fire down some. And then I'm going to grab a plate and we're going to sit these off to the side so that way we can start to make the marsala. All right. Ooh, yes, smells so good. Okay, fabulous. Okay, turn this down just a little bit more. Set these aside. We're going to add another tablespoon of olive oil to the pan. And we're going to get all the yummy bits off of the pan. We are also going to add our tablespoon of butter. There we go. All right, let me clean up my dishes here. Okay, so that's starting to go. Let me grab a little thing to toss, spread it around. There we go. Okay, so we're starting to get the little bits. Now we're going to add our mushrooms. Just throw them right in and let them start sauteing down. Fabulous. Mushrooms also have kind of a meatier flavor. So if you are more plant-based, mushrooms are a great substitute for meats. Now, granted, you wouldn't be eating chicken marsala if you were plant-based, but you could try maybe like a tofu steak marsala. Okay, so we're starting to saute these. Now we're going to add our chicken broth with the gelatin. Remember, we mixed that in. What this is going to do, this is going to help us create the gravy that you expect with marsala. And because of the gelatin, it actually thickens it up for you. Get a little steam facial there if you'd like. Okay. We're going to let those simmer just a little bit. Take your heat down to medium low or low medium. And we're just going to let those saute just a little bit to soften them up. Now my water's slowly starting to come to a boil. I'm going to heat my second skillet on. There we go. And I'm going to put it on medium high so that way we can start to heat that up and we can saute our onions, garlic, and then our spinach. I'm going to chop up my garlic just a little bit more. Nobody wants to eat a huge chunk of garlic. Definitely not first date material. So just kind of run your knife through it, slide it back through, run your knife back through again. This is how I like to mince. I'm sure there's probably like a more professional way, but you know, I'm only a home chef. I am not a culinary trained chef. I'm just a mom who tries to bring good food to her kids on weeknights, fast dishes. Okay, so our pan is starting to heat up. Let me move my mushrooms around a little bit more. So now, you can get all the little bits off the bottom of the pan. Now I'm going to add the Marsala wine. I have about a 1/4 cup of Marsala wine. Some grocery stores sell this. I found mine at my local liquor store. Because we live here in Delaware, not all grocery stores sell things that have an alcohol content. Actually, most don't. So we're gonna add the Marsala wine, crank up my heat a little bit because we want this to come to a boil, or at least a rolling simmer. Okay. You can already start to smell the Marsala. My water is boiling for my pasta. Now, I have thin whole wheat spaghetti. I love thin whole wheat spaghetti. It's easy, it cooks fast. We're gonna use about 1/2 box. Now, I'm going to do the cardinal sin of making pasta. I'm going to break it. Yes, I know. But the reasoning is because I'd love for it, number one, I've got this cool little nifty-difty pasta cooker, thanks to Chef Dana. And we're making this as kind of like a side dish. So we don't need the full kind of spaghetti noodles. So I'm breaking them into half or into thirds. Add that in. Now my water is salted as well. Added about a teaspoon of salt to my water. And we're going to shake that down, get that fully submerged, and let that pasta start cooking. Throw my box away, throw my trash away. All right, so my saute pan for my spinach and onions and garlic is heating. We're going to add another teaspoon of olive oil. Again, remember the little trick I taught you with the cap? Saves dishes too, so that way you don't have to wash your measuring spoons over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, now we're going to add our onion. Remember, this was a quarter of a Vidalia onion that we just kind of thinly sliced into rings. Add it in so it can start to saute. All right, there we go. And then we're going to add our 1 clove of garlic that we chopped up. Again, quick, easy, but very, very flavorful. Let me clean off my station, and then we will get going on the next part of our chicken marsala, and that is to add the chicken back to the mushrooms and the marsala wine mixture that we have going. Essentially your marsala gravy happening there. Okay. Smells good. The other thing too, if you're ever worried about using wine when you're cooking, especially with kids, when you heat the wine, basically the wine, it actually starts to cook off the alcohol. So your kids aren't going to get buzzed from the marsala wine. Okay, we're going to add our chicken breast back into our marsala wine and mushrooms, so that way they can continue cooking and they can also absorb all of the yummy flavor of the mushrooms and the marsala wine. All right, toss those around, get them coated too with the sauce. And remember, we lightly dredged them with the flour. That'll also help to thicken up your marsala gravy. Okay, that's going. Throw this in the sink. So you guys know, I always joke about how my daughters have to do the dishes. But, you know, they have to have chores. It teaches them responsibility. It's fun, and they don't get an allowance for it. All right, so now let me grab another little spatula for our spinach lemon pasta. Oh, there we go, I'm gonna use this one. Move the onions around and the garlic, very fragrant. And we're going to add our spinach. Now, I love to add vegetables as much as I can to pasta dishes, even just your average spaghetti. I love to add vegetables. So spinach is high in iron. So good for you. Good fiber content too. Iron, vitamin C, as well as a little bit of folate. But it's a neat way when it's mixed with the pasta. Kids don't really know, they just eat it. And I'll tell you, if you're worried about your kids like eating spinach, now granted, grew up in the 80s, we had Popeye. He ate his spinach and it was cool, and he'd eat a whole can and then he'd give you his muscle and then you'd see the spinach on his muscle. But with kids, get them in the kitchen, get them to help you cooking, and then they will learn to love vegetables like spinach, even Brussels sprouts. Okay, so we're starting to saute that, let that start to wilt down. And it doesn't have to cook all the way through because spinach tastes amazing raw or sauteed. Now we do need 1 lemon, remember, because I said it's a lemon and spinach pasta. I'll grab a smaller one. Now, when you have a lemon, roll it. So lemon is high in vitamin C. Great if you're feeling a little bit under the weather. Throw your lemon in your water, throw it in your tea, throw it in your sparkling soda, anything. So, but we roll it to release the juices, which is really good. So when we go to squeeze it into our pasta, it'll be ready to go. I'm gonna just cut it in half so it's ready to go. There we go. See, look how juicy it is already. can see all the juices. So fantastic. Okay. I'm going to move the spinach around a little bit, and I'm going to move the chicken marsala around a little bit, again, just to help get more of those flavors. It smells so good. Okay, the other beauty of using thin pasta, thin spaghetti, is that it cooks really fast. So our noodles are just about done. Now, do you know how to test to see if your noodles are done? They say throw them up against a wall. Take, not the whole thing of noodles, just one noodle. But they're hot, I'm not gonna do it. All right, so I am going to pull this out. I'm gonna turn my burner off. And I'm gonna transfer it right over. And we want a little bit of the pasta water too to come on in. That'll help keep it nice and loose, kind of create a little sauce. And then we're just gonna fold in the spinach. Fold in the onions, fold in the spinach. So with the mushrooms, with the spinach, your meal is going to contain about 1.5 servings of vegetables, which is good, because our goal is to eat at least 1 serving of vegetables each meal. So you're getting 1.5, so you're on the winning side of that. Now I'm gonna crank my heat all the way down. Okay. And if you need to, you can always take a little bit of that extra pasta water and add it to help create a sauce. Actually, I'm gonna grab about a tablespoon worth of pasta water. The pasta water has nice starches already in that were cooked down. Oh, we'll do 2. Okay. Now for the lemon. You can squeeze it into your hand to keep the seeds out, but I do have a nifty-difty lemon squeezer. Lemon squeeze, yes please. I like to do a whole lemon, depending on your lemon choice. Again, just to maximize that vitamin C content. But if you're not a lemon lover, then just do a half a one. And that's perfectly fine too. Just give it a good squeeze. Now, if you were having this probably in an Italian restaurant, they'd top it with a little additional olive oil to kind of dress it, but we are trying to control some of those aspects. I will add about 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt just to the top as a finish. So you don't need to cook with a whole lot of salt, and then about the same of pepper. Toss this around. You can smell the lemon as it hits the heat. But remember, we've turned our heat down, so we're kind of no longer cooking this. We're just letting the flavors get combined. And our chicken marsala looks like it's about done as well. Perfect timing on both. Again, weeknight meal. There's no cut, take, stop the tape. We're cooking this straight through, so that way you know that this is an easy weeknight meal for you. Oh yes, this smells amazing. Okay. Let's plate. I'm ready to eat. I don't know about you, but I am. Let me grab a plate. Now, when I'm cooking this at home, between my husband, Reardon, and my oldest daughter, Jordan, I cannot get it onto the plate before they're coming in and stealing mushrooms. Remember I said we're like a divided household when it comes to mushrooms, and they are already usually over here kind of surrounding the stove, trying to steal things from the pan. And then they usually end up burning their mouths. So that's what they get. Okay, I'm gonna take some of the spinach lemon pasta. Remember we did the garlic and the onions. Get some of that spinach in there. Beautiful. Okay, and now we're gonna come over and get one of our chicken breasts. There's a little bonus piece. And we're going to get some of the marsala sauce and mushrooms. Let me use my tongs to get the mushrooms. And I get a little spoon so I can really get some of that yummy gravy, because that's the beauty, you know, with comfort food, but making it a little healthier, you still want all of those aspects of the comfort. Oh, let me grab a spoon out of here. Too many drawers, too many cabinets. Okay. Just drizzle some. I got a bonus mushroom too. Okay, this looks delicious. Turn my heat down. There we go. Doot, doot, doot. Now, I'm gonna take a little bit of Parmesan cheese and top it over top of my spinach lemon pasta. You can throw it over top of the chicken marsala as well. And remember I said you're gonna need a little bit of parsley. So I like to grow it at home. Just grab a couple of sprigs and then just break them. You could chop it if you'd like, but I think you start to lose some of the earthiness of it, and then just sprinkle it right on top. Okay. Grab a fork and a knife. However, the beauty of chicken marsala and using the thin chicken breasts is that they're easy to cut and you don't need a knife. You can always just use a fork. Get a little bit of the lemon pasta. Just do a whole big bite together. So good. Such the perfect pairing. You have the marsala and the mushrooms, but then that little freshness and brightness of the lemon pasta. But guess what? I'm getting all of the lovely like vitamins from the lemon and the spinach. So good. So good. And remember, we did get to use a little bit of butter, so you can kind of taste it in the mushrooms. So amazing. Okay, so chicken marsala weeknight, healthy version for you. That lemon spinach pasta. Trust me, once you try this, you may have a hard time going back to regular chicken marsala. Anyway, thanks for joining us today. I'm going to keep eating because this is so good. I think I need to not share with the group and not share with my family, but I'm going to keep eating. See you next week right here on Health in Self.